This will be a different video unlike the ones I've been posting recently, but I have noticed some people have been commenting on my Dagannoth Kings video on how my action bars are actually switching based on the weapon I am using. I will be going over that for this episode. And what I mean by that is, let's say like you're using magic, your action bar would actually automatically switch to the magic bar. And then like if I go to a melee weapon, it would manually switch to it. I would be going over that along with setting up the additional action bar preset. And now I'll go over to a little clip right now. And this is actually very good. It was with an update about a week or two ago, but they were talking about how they were thinking about providing the action bars from the Solomon stores to all players for free. Previously, before, you had to buy, I believe, 3 or 4 bonds for each additional action bar, which was extremely expensive. And for people who started playing thanks to Steam, they noticed that the amount of action bars is very painful for you. So now when you log in after the update, which they already did, so you'll have them all unlocked, you'll have a total of 13 action bars. And by that I mean, like, you notice how my main action bar is active and there's a little number at the top left corner. If you right click it, it will go to 13. This is extremely useful, and what I mean by that exactly is because it's very game changing. Because for instance, let's say you have a magic wand and a magic two-hand, you'll automatically need 2 action bars for that because they have different ability or several abilities that are different. And the same thing with range. You'll have a range for dual wield and a range for two-hand. And the same goes with melee, which means there is a total of 6 action bars already automatically used. And then the extra additional I'll be teaching you actually means there will be 3 action bars per style, which means that uses up 9 of your 13 action bars already. And then you're wondering, 9 out of 13 still pretty good, but you'll want a preset with nothing but defensives. I'll show on the screen right now, which would be this one. Like pretty much all defensives and stuff, you'll want that as like standard. Another action bar you'll automatically use will be like in everything, where it has your PVM hub teleport, maybe storm charge, disruption shield, and maybe even onslaught or blade dive switch. And then you also need another action bar for your food and prayers, meaning that out of the 13 action bars, 12 of them actually get used instantly. Once you start to get later into PVM, you only have room for 1 action bar. So after all that talking, let's get started. First off, I will be going over setting up the melee. So equip the melee weapon, and you notice how it won't be changing. You want to manually change your action bar and find where the melee dual wield is at, since I'm using a dragon battle axe that is a dual wield. This is on my action bar number 1. And now let's go to the settings, combat and action bar binding, and you'll notice that both the switch bar when loading presets is unchecked. You will want to check this. And now for the action bar binding, check it. And now comes the little fun part. Remember how I said that action bar 1 is for my melee dual wield? Oh, actually, it's my two-handed one. So you want to set that to melee 2-hand if that is your melee 2-hand. If not, you can swap it to whatever exactly it is. So I'll set that to melee 2-hand. You'll want to change it action bar to primary action bar, and then for the action bar preset, you'll want to change it to action bar 1. Now I'll change the action bar randomly, and now when I equip the melee 2H weapon, it automatically switches to the melee 2-hand bar. Now let's set up the dual wield for melee, and I believe that's my third action bar. So let's open up the settings and then scroll down to action bar binding setup 3. For this, put melee dual wield or whatever it's set for you. As for the action bar, put it to primary, and then the action bar preset, change that to number 3. Now when I swap to the Dragon Battle Axe, it goes to my dual wield bar, and then I'll just switch so it changes a little. And then also for like magic or a range, how I swap to my range weapon, it automatically switches to my number 5 because I already set that for that. And then also do the same for like your range 2H. I already did that for number 12, so you have to set that accordingly. And now comes the little fun part. Go back to the settings, the action bar this time, and then for display additional action bars, hit number 2 or something randomly on that. This one, okay, well I'll change this then. Boop. Okay, now remember how I said normally you want like a weapon switch and all that stuff? That is where this secondary action bar comes into play. So keep in mind that this is action bar 2 for me. So now let's go back to the action bar binding, the action bar binding setup 2. For the weapon style, for the primary bar, that will be additional action bar 1, because it's in the additional action bar number 1. Even though I have it to action bar 2, it's actually like the additional action bar. Once you have that set, go to the weapon style, and I put all melee. And then for that one, remember to set it to action bar, let me see, 2. And remember the action bar preset is because it has melee switches in it. So, and then for like my magic, I already set that up, so it already automatically swapped. And I did that in the settings by going to number 11, since my magic switches were on number 11. So I'll put the action bar to additional action bar number 1. I'll change the weapon style to all magic, and then I'll select the action bar 11 because that's where the magic switches are. And then when you swap weapons, I also do this for range, it automatically switches the secondary action bar. This is extremely good if you're kind of hybriding, but it might mess you up because you might need to change the defender or the shield for resonance, because if you're swapping or hybriding, it will kind of change it, but then it should kind of like fix itself until you get used to it. Or you can just not even set these additional action bars. That is purely up to you. I just like to do it so it's easier on my part, since I kind of like to swap styles a lot. I'll normally do a boss for 1 hour and then change styles and then do a completely different boss. So this part's up to you if you actually want to set it up or not. And with that, I will conclude the end of this episode. The end of this little guide on how to actually set up and change your action bar bindings so they can automatically change. Thank you all so much and enjoy the rest of your day.